Welcome back. This is segment 3 of a discussion with Sham Kashikar. Sham has had a lot of interesting insights to share with us from a varied background, a lot of interesting organizations that he's worked in. And we are into a final segment here, wrapping up and focusing on cultivating a data literate workforce. Absolutely critical piece of the puzzle. So we're going to discuss how to improve the overall data and AI literacy in the entire company. You know, in the past, people have talked about just data literacy, but it's very important, and Sham makes this distinction that it's not just data. Now it's data and AI. It's the two of them together, the literacy around both of those subjects that is really critical. Sham, much is being said about literacy in those two areas these days. How does one achieve it and spread it across the organization?
Yeah, that is a very important topic, data literacy, to really make the data and AI program effective. And achieving the literacy goes just beyond training. Training is just one aspect of it. So I would say, one need to understand your organization, how people work, and embedding the data thing into the fabric of their work. That is very important. And what I mean by that is you need to define your literacy program. You need to define what is the objective of the program and really make sure that you understand the organization need. There could be different views. Marketing needs could be different than the sales team, and your engineering team's needs could be very different. They could be very focused on the technology. So making sure that you understand their needs are, and then really create a standardized plan for them. There could be tools and technologies that you need to standardize and make them accessible. And of course, so then you have to make sure that there is a awareness about this, why we are doing that. And the leadership team, they should really role model this information. They should be really telling the people of their organization why we are doing that, what are the benefits, and also rewards or incentives for the team to make sure that they really leverage as a part of their day-to-day work. So once we have those things in place, then you can have role-specific training, and it can be embedded in a variety of different ways. And that also can be implemented in a scale manner. For example, when you are hiring new employees, the training could be part of your onboarding process itself, depending on your role. And another couple of important thing, in my opinion, in terms of really achieving the data literacy is the trust in the data. It is very important. If the trust in data is not there, no matter what program, what communication you have, people could be trained, but if the data is not trusted, everything falls apart. So having that trust, meaning investing in data quality, catalog, data management is also very important. And accessibility. So when there is a lot of communication, people understand this is important, this is going to enhance their function, they are going to see the benefits, organization is going to benefit as well. But how accessible the data is? Can they find the data easily within the organization? What are the ways you can make it easy for them? So there is no friction in finding the information and really leveraging that to perform your role or your function.
Yeah, so important that in the past we used to talk about user friendliness, and that's really so key here as well, is making things easy, because we're asking people to change and we want them to use the data, but it mustn't be this kind of gnarly thing that they've got to try and get involved in. It must be easy. And yeah, great point. Can you give us some examples of where organizations have actually been really good at cultivating a data literate workforce?
Yeah, sure. If you have to really make data literacy program work, not only the communication, but all the information was really made available through wiki. So anybody can go to the wiki and they say, I want to know cross-sell, upsell, or I want to know new customer acquisition. I don't want to know this AI prediction model for customer behavior, whatever it could be, or they want to look at customer product adoption. And those, all the things are tagged as a metadata, with a lot of technology behind that.
Yeah.
And not only they could find the information, but those keywords can take them to the system where they can find the information. And not only that, there is an intelligent profile defined. So let us say if I'm a marketing analyst, right? So then when I click on anything like cross-sell, upsell, or new customer buying prediction, it understand I'm a marketing analyst. And then it will take me to respective system and it will provide me the insight which is available and accessible to my role. So in other words, everything is automated. And at the back, there are certain principles we deployed. What I mean by that, those principles is the relevance of the information. Somebody is from marketing, somebody is from engineering. Also, making it easily accessible and discoverable. So they can find it as well. And also, it is integrated in the context of the business process. So they can take the action. It is not that, hey, you said this is the intelligence available here. This is the cross-sell, upsell prediction. See that in one dashboard, then you have to log into different system and you have to look at your customer list and take an action. That is not the great experience. It all should be integrated. So that is the way we achieved it. And it was a phenomenal success. Of course, it is easier said here than actual implementation. We had to look at a variety of different things to make it scale thousands of users.
Yeah, that's right. That's a really important point that you've made there in terms of how to go about data and AI literacy. I think part of it also has to do with just demystifying some of the terms and making it less threatening or where people might be fearful of some of these things, especially on the AI side of things. There's so much drama mongering out there about what AI could do. It could take away this, take away that, but really helping people to relax. This is all good. It's going to be easy to make these changes. In fact, it's going to make your life like a million times better. And providing the ecosystem, a user-friendly ecosystem for them to actually flourish in is so key. So thanks for that. I think that really gives a great rounding out point in our discussion here. But just stepping back and thinking about the previous two segments and this one we've gone through now, if you were to give key takeaways for the audience, what would you want them to have gleaned from the three segments of this interview?
Well, in fact, the AI has become a common topic. There is no organization talks without the AI, which is very important. It's a great thing that the awareness spread so quickly. And there are a lot of efforts. People focus on the technology and what models are useful, which model is more efficient, what is the impact of the deep seek. There are all great things. That could be a great start, and it can provide a point solution, or it can provide a quick win. And that you should leverage that. But more importantly, if the data leaders, they need to consider themselves as a facilitator or connector, where they have to take a look at the entire ecosystem and how do you leverage this ecosystem to create the greatest business impact, and which is sustainable as well. And that's where looking at the entire ecosystem, building partnership, external versus internal, making sure that the processes, the data literacy program, data infrastructure, everything is linked together. I would say I would like to use the analogy of orchestra. In the orchestra, the master has to really make sure that every player is playing to the tune. So this is the entire ecosystem. You have to make sure that the entire ecosystem is playing to your advantage. And of course, there are a lot of risks, there are a lot of challenges, and learning from that is important. But data and AI program are most effective when you take the advantage of the entire ecosystem, internal as well as external.
That's a great point. That's a really great point to end on. And when it comes to a holistic approach, like you've described, where you're really stepping back and looking at the big picture, I think that's such an important message for all chief data officers. It's so easy to fall into the trap of doing quick win point solution, one after the other. And that just isn't going to get you there.
Absolutely.
So, Sham, thank you for sharing your perspective on that. I think it's very valuable. The time is now for people to really listen to that message and to apply it. Once again, we are very grateful for the time that you've spent with us and the insights that you've shared. So to our audience, make sure that you pick up all three segments of this interview. And please be sure to check out cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews. There's a lot of really good content out there that I'm sure everyone can benefit from. But once again, Sham Kashikar, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you for having me.